Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson was bad for boxing, and let me tell you guys why. I'm not here to hate on Jake for making a big event about, him and Mike Tyson on Netflix. I'm sure, if I were in that position, I'd do the same exact thing as him. But I gotta be honest, it wasn't really an event that pushed the sport of boxing in a great direction. I'm just not gonna lie. Like, I'm not saying it made it worse, but it definitely didn't make it better, because this event was solely and primarily for Jake Paul to propel himself into a better position. I think he did that. I think Jake Paul is going to continue to have more fights. He's going to continue to box on these big stages where, he's putting people like Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor on his undercard as the co-main event, and they get a big stage for the girls. In that case, it's great. You can't deny that. But when you underperform in a main event, I don't think it really does anything for you in terms of growing that fan base within the sport of boxing. But it was a good event in terms of, you could say that you fought a legend. You could say that you had the opportunity to fight Mike Tyson. You did it, but ultimately, that's all he can say. He can't say that I beat a prime Mike Tyson. He can't say that, I knocked out Mike Tyson, because he didn't, and that comes with the respect factor that he talked about after the fight. He said that I didn't feel like I needed to, step on the gas. I didn't feel like I wanted to get him out of there. I respect him too much. Mike's a legend. Didn't want to knock him out. All of that, you got to understand that this is an entertainment event. This was for the fans to enjoy, and I think a lot of people left watching that fight, very underwhelmed with what happened inside the ring, because you got to remember, a lot of people went into this fight naive, and I tried to warn you guys. Look at the video. I showed you guys, I posted it before the fight went down, my prediction for Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. I said it was going to be a boring fight, because you have two guys that are 220 plus pounds. They're getting in that ring, and neither guy is in their prime as a boxer. I'm not going to sit here and say Jake Paul's in his prime. I'm not going to say Mike Tyson's in his prime. He's 60 years old, and Jake Paul's out of shape. So I was like, this is going to be boring, or it's going to be ugly. And it turned out to be both. We didn't really see an exciting performance from Jake Paul, and he didn't really showcase any skills that made me think that he could beat, any legitimate boxer. The only legitimate boxer that he fought was technically Tommy Fury, and he fell short in that fight. So what do you think would happen if he fought a legitimate boxer? That's why Jake has to continuously go for these UFC guys who aren't the best boxers in the world and knock them out, because at least they're notable names within the combat sports world, and he can kind of benefit off having their names on his resume. That's what Jake Paul has been doing, and I think he should go back to that, as opposed to, chasing these legitimate, title contenders. If he actually wants to fight Canelo, I think that's definitely just for a payday, because he has no chance against Canelo Alvarez. A lot of people even talk about him fighting Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Davis. They forget that he's 60, 70 pounds heavier than these guys, and still Jake Paul, in my opinion, would get destroyed, get demolished by guys that are like Ryan Garcia or Gervonta Davis. I think those guys would destroy Jake, because they have power still. I don't care what people say. I'm picking Tank over Jake Paul. I'm taking Ryan Garcia over Jake Paul. I'm taking any legitimate boxer and giving them the edge. And I'm not talking about a guy that's, has 7 fights and has 6 losses. I'm not talking about those guys. I'm talking about any well-established fighter, because there are a lot of people that can just become professional fighters within the sport of boxing, and Jake Paul can go fight them and then say he beat a professional boxer. So that's not what I'm alluding to. I'm more talking about, if Jake wants to get a big name within the sport of boxing, he's not gonna beat anybody. He can't beat anybody. There's not a single name in the sport of boxing that Jake Paul could legitimately beat that's respectable. People talk about Julio Cesar Chavez. Real boxing fans, we respect the OG. We respect Senior, but Junior, it doesn't really mean anything. Jake Paul has to go for those big money fights. That's why I'm saying that, it'd be in his best interest to continuously fight these MMA fighters, the UFC fighters, or any big named athlete that's popular and wants to take a crack at fighting Jake Paul. That's what Jake Paul should look into. Those are the big money fights. Those are going to get the people excited. And more importantly, he has a chance of knocking those guys out. He's not going to knock out a professional boxer that's a genuine cruiserweight contender or light heavyweight contender. It's not going to happen. I'm telling you right now, it's not going to happen. But he could knock out a lot of UFC fighters with big names. So he should definitely go in that direction as opposed to chasing legitimate boxers. Unless, if he makes some great improvement that we all see and it's undeniable, and then, it's not going to matter what I say, because he's going to definitely or inevitably get those shots with legitimate boxers, but I just don't see it happening. I just don't think he has the skill set. The truth is that Jake Paul doesn't mean to cut corners, but the truth is that people have been doing this for years and years. You don't just skip the amateur circuit and expect to, perform with well-decorated amateurs within the pros. It's not going to happen. He didn't mean to cut corners, but his actual performance shows that, he doesn't have the experience. He doesn't have the time, spent into this craft to make it look good. And that's just, with most people. There's not going to be a lot of people that can pick up boxing really quickly. And Jake Paul, he has legitimate coaches. He has legitimate strength and conditioning training. But, within an actual fight, he doesn't know how to manage it yet. So once he gets there, then I think we could more so talk about who he could fight within the sport of boxing as a cruiserweight contender or a light heavyweight contender. But now I think he should just stick to those UFC fights or MMA fighters, for exhibitions and stuff like that, just for the fans and for, the mega fight entertainment, so that he could potentially get a interesting outcome as opposed to what happened with Mike Tyson, where it was a boring and ugly fight. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you guys on the next Nabs Boxing video. Peace. That's going to do it for another Nabs Fight Media video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been your boy, Matt Nabong, with another video. Hope you guys enjoyed it all. Thank you guys for the constant support. Salute to y'all always. It's been your boy.